Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to a Fresh Stories book chat. We are here today with two of my friends and their cats. And I'm very, very excited about this episode because one of the things we talk about at Fresh Starts is that sometimes a fresh start is forced upon us and it's not positive. And yet we can kind of figure out how to take lessons from that and help other people. So I'm going to let these two introduce themselves. You know what? I'm actually going to take it a step further. I'm going to have them introduce each other. So, Mahaley,
Oh,
can you introduce who's sitting next to you, please?
This is my
yeah, you're gonna go first.
better half,
Yeah, well, that's the first
Ravi
time that's ever been
Patel.
said.
Um, Ravi is a lot of things. I
Mm.
feel like people know him professionally, but I'll start with personally who he is.
This is only a 15-minute podcast, so I would wrap it up.
He is a wonderful husband,
Oh,
very devoted,
She's a wonderful
and
wife,
even as wonderful a husband he is an even better dad.
aw.
and she's an even
Um,
better mom.
he is um
I'm an
he's
actor and a filmmaker. She's a
He's
therapist.
impatient. That's what he is. He's
Okay, so
impatient. Yeah.
Olivia, I want to tell you something before we get
Yes.
started. I'm a big fan of yours. I know we don't
Oh,
have to talk,
yeah.
but I have a lot of
Perfect.
love for you in my heart. I know how much you've shown up for us and specifically Mahaley since we lost Sachi, and it means a lot. And I just think you're a wonderful human being.
Yeah.
oh, thank you. That means the world to me. Well,
No,
you
wonderful.
can repay me by finding me my next husband. So that's what you can go work on, Ravi. Okay, thank you. No, that means I mean, you know what? I say this all the time. You never know who you're going to connect with. And we connected so many years ago, 8 years ago on Instagram, and sometimes people just come into your life for different reasons. And I think about your little girl every single day. She's part of our family. We talk about her all the time. And next time you guys come to New York, we're going to have to do something together for
Yeah.
sure. Okay, but most importantly, you launched something into the world recently that is going to help a lot of people. So can you tell us what that is?
I have a book coming out that I co-wrote with another author and therapist, Emily Souter. It comes out September 15th, and it's called Your NICU Story. It is a book and a tool that helps individuals and families reflect on their NICU experience. The book sort of came to be, I mean, I'll rewind before I had my daughter Sachi in 2023, who passed away after a birth injury and a NICU stay. Um, I used Emily's first book in therapy with clients. Because I do a type of trauma therapy called EMDR. I worked with a lot of, and still do work with a lot of birth trauma clients. And Emily's first book, well, not her first book, but second book, Birth Story Brave, was really designed as kind of the same type of tool to take writing and the power of telling your story and to process through birth. When I'll fast forward to 2023, obviously there were many layers to having Sachi, losing Sachi. One of the kind of unique layers was her NICU stay. I had never had a baby in the NICU before, and it really opened my eyes into like all that is and what a horrible and traumatic experience it is for so many families, even families who get to take their babies home, which we didn't. And, I took some time off work, and when I decided to go back to work, I decided that like my work was going to be for her, right? I had the benefit of always already being in the perinatal mental health space. But I thought if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to go back into this work, which is painful in a lot of ways, right, to work in this population, um, I'm going to make it meaningful. And I sort of kept coming back to this idea of like, the NICU is its own experience and a wild one, like I said, regardless of what your ending is. And I kept coming back to her book. Like, if I really want to do something like that, but I want to do it for NICU families specifically. And so I reached out to her. I just sent her an email out of the blue. I introduced myself and told her what my idea was, and we met. Uh, and that's the end of the origin story. One of the really unique things about our book that I'm really proud of is we tried to really include the partner experience. I think that that is so often lost in all kinds of journeys, right? But specifically the NICU journey. And we have a contribution from Revi. We have a contribution from another individual that kind of share their stories and tell their stories about being in the NICU and being in the NICU as a partner. Um, and I'm really proud of that. We have a lot of reflection questions. I mean, the book, like I said, is designed as a tool to help people process through their experience. And we have a lot of questions specifically for partners, but we also tried to make it so that anyone who picked up the book that had had a NICU experience could get something out of it.
Yeah.
Um, and so that is something unique to our book
It's
that I'm
kind of
really
like it's
proud
kind of
of.
set up like a workbook. I mean, I think it's
Right.
important to
Yeah.
understand that. Like, it's not like some 200
Yeah, I
page.
was gonna ask,
Yeah.
can you tell like Robbie, walk us through what the book looks like? Like if you were your partner and you just had a baby and they're in the NICU and you come across this book and you're
Yeah.
like, what is the structure?
Well, the structure is there's obviously an introduction by Mahaley and Emily, and most importantly, that's followed with something written by me. And
Most
um,
importantly, yeah.
Most
honest,
importantly.
honestly, if you're going to read one thing in the book, I would say it's the section that I wrote. It's
Absolutely.
short but full of lots of no
Full of lots
most
of.
ROI. Oh yeah, show them the book.
And
This is
then
great.
we have, following Ruby, we have our other contributor, Allison. And then it goes into, and there's some writing here and there that I share that I've done for Sachi.
Yes.
Um,
You're a
we have
beautiful writer. Yeah.
we have 5 sections. So it's about 100 pages. This part is kind of all the intro, the different
Mhm.
stories, things like that. And then we have 5 sections. We start at the beginning, right? The beginning of the story.
Yep.
Then we move to the NICU stay itself. Then we move to a section of that really focuses on your baby or your babies if you have more than one
Mhm.
that was in the NICU. And then we move to going home without your baby for the
Mhm.
individuals that applies
Mhm.
to. And then the
Mhm.
last section is going home with your baby for the individuals that it applies to. So we also tried to make it so that, it was sectioned off in a thoughtful way, that it was sectioned off also so for people who did go home without their babies, that they didn't have to necessarily
Yeah.
pass the questions of going
Yep.
home with the baby, right? They had to
Yeah.
be really mindful of that. Um, and there's room in the book to like write in the book itself, or obviously you can take
Yep.
paper and write elsewhere in like a journal or something.
But the
Um,
idea here is that it's I don't want to say it's surrogate to therapy, but what it's doing is, you know, guiding you in journaling essentially about
Yeah.
your experience. And so when you're feeling any level of disruption coming out of the NICU experience or any experience for that matter, the
yeah,
first step is to sit with your thoughts. And
Yes.
this is really just, I don't want to say an idiot's guide, but it is it's a beginning point of starting to understand what your experience, how you experienced it. Like literally, what was it that you experienced? How did you feel about it? It's very simple like that. I mean, I'll go to a random one, um, this is 8 in section 2, which is about the stay. Did you ever feel overwhelmed with the amount of information? If so, did you use any tools like taking notes on your phone or recording voice memos to make the information more accessible? So this is actually, I love this one. I haven't seen this one before, which it kind of reveals that I haven't read the entire book, which I feel
It's
bad.
okay.
But um,
Just your part.
yeah, yeah. But what's great about this is being overwhelmed with the amount of information is probably one of the craziest parts of being in a NICU. You're
Right.
dealing with a ton of different people and a lot of big questions that require a kind of depth of knowledge. Yet you're hearing from all these different people with various levels of experience and a lot of doctors who do the exact same thing have exact opposite opinions on how things should be done. It's overwhelming. So I think this was good. I'm really into section 2, number 8.
Yeah.
This is
we have a lot of questions also. Like
I'm
there's
going at
It's
sections
9,
in that
10.
about
Oh shit, we're at 14.
We
Big
have a lot
section.
of questions about how you navigate, like, the information that's thrown
Yeah,
at you.
which is so important because and it's so funny you are reading that because that's what our divorce self-help book is in our proposal. It literally starts the same way. Like, here's how you journal. Here's how you can write these things.
Yeah.
Um, I love that so much, especially because when you're in the NICU, you are traumatized, you're overwhelmed, you're physically not up to speed. You have other kids maybe to worry about like you guys did.
Yep.
Um,
Questions about that. Yep.
yep.
Mhm.
So this is really going to be a lifesaver for a lot of people. Who would you say this book is mostly for?
So I would say we've really tried to make this for any individual who has walked through a NICU stay. That was our goal. That was our hope. There's no time limit on it. It's not that if your NICU stay wasn't within the last 3 years, you can't pick up this book. In fact, I think many could argue that having some distance from it, right, would make this tool better. I also love the idea of this being used with partners and couples to explore the experience together, to explore the differences, right? Because we all know trauma and grief manifest so differently in people, and the timeline is so different from people, and it can be easy to kind of stray from each other. And much like I did with clients, I would take Birth Story Brave and we would use it in session. And
Yeah,
so this can also be one of the intentions behind this was so that therapists could use this for their clients and use the power of writing and that as a tool to like help their clients walk through their NICU story.
absolutely. I mean, I'm going to even give an example from my life. I had open heart surgery when I was 8 months old. And so I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't necessarily in the NICU, but I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. My parents were 25. I don't know how they survived that. And
Yeah.
what's really interesting is that just recently a reporter reached out to me to do something about some congenital heart defect awareness stuff. And they wanted to talk to my mom. They were like, "Can we talk to your mom about what it was like?" And she's still traumatized. I'm like, "I'm gonna buy this book for her." And like she doesn't own up to the trauma, right? Because she was like, "Well, I just got through it and you survived and that's the happy ending." I'm like, "But you had to have your baby wheeled away from you. Like, that's a really big trauma." So I think that this book honestly is for anybody that is encountering a baby in the NICU, right? Grandparents, aunts,
Yeah.
uncles, like
Absolutely.
anybody that has to go through that. It's really important, like you said, to process through writing. Before we go, I have first of all, I could talk about this with you forever. And it's just amazing that you two are doing this because I want to say also the way that you have shared Saatchi with the world has changed people from, like, on a cellular level, like, truly. And, you're opening up your grief and you're literally letting people in to the NICU with you, right? And these beautiful photos and videos that I assume Ravi took all of them. But, like, and this beautiful almost like it really was putting together this journalistic view of, like, this is what it looks like to lose your child. So many people there are so many deaths of babies that we're not talking about.
So many.
So many. We need to talk about them, right? We need to bring their names out into the world and say they lived. They were here with us. We're not going to forget them. And I think that like that's something that both of you have done so beautifully and opened up the conversation, truly like shifting the narrative and opening up that conversation because you let people into your grief and that's really vulnerable to do.
Thank
But
you.
I just want you to know how many people you've changed. I mean, you know, people that wouldn't know necessarily about her life now know about her life. And I just think that that's a beautiful thing. But if you are a parent going through this, what would be some words of encouragement that both of you could leave them with?
We talk a lot about this. Ravi actually even kind of touches on this in his part in the book about
Which again is a must read. Can't emphasize enough my section.
about thank you. About really starting small. I think sometimes, and I'll hear this from clients too, they're like, my friends are asking me, like, what am I doing for myself? Or go get coffee or whatever. And I think sometimes that is just depending on the severity of the stay, depending on where they're at, it's too much. Like it's too much to grasp, right? You're so laser focused and overwhelmed and inundated with everything that you have. And sometimes the best advice, and he did this a lot for me after Sachi died, was just Like, sit in the sun for 5 minutes. Let it hit your face, especially when you're in the hospital. There's no windows, there's no sunlight, there's no anything. And sometimes that's enough, right? There's this picture that I didn't know we had that I randomly found of me. I just had an emergency C-section. I'm wheeling in and out from my room over to the NICU, et cetera. And there's this family room that we, had a dozen meetings with her team in. And there's this photo of me laying down, probably taking like a 10-minute nap on the sofa, and like that was probably the only thing that I did for myself. Right. So I think sometimes we think too big and it becomes inaccessible for people.
Yeah.
And just starting really small,
Yeah,
spending time with
I
your
always
loved
talk.
ones,
Yeah,
drinking water.
yeah, small wins is the way I kind of framed it when I was doing it was, I would journal every day. I actually think that's a big part of just winning in life in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's especially important when times are bad because when you journal, you give yourself the opportunity to feel what you need to feel, but you can also create intention and see the good when it feels like there's nothing good to be seen. One of the things that I felt early on was I would like I would like the mantra I'd tell myself was small wins, small wins.
Mhm.
And it could be, and it was at the beginning, it really was just getting her in the sun, getting myself in the sun, going for a walk. That's a win. That for a long time, those were the only wins. And then,
Mhm.
you know, you just stack little wins upon little wins. Sometimes you walk more, sometimes spend more time in the sun. Next thing you know, all of a sudden you're working out again. And,
Yeah.
you might be journaling more. You might start dreaming again eventually if you journal enough, and, you know, uh, I think it's kind of like changing any habit where it's like it's not a straight line. You're going to fall back down. But the more you fall down and the more you get up, the better you get at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think small
I have
wins.
a question for you guys that's maybe unique to you guys. And I'm really curious, what role did humor and laughter play in your healing process? And is it okay in the NICU to crack jokes with your partner?
I think that I am sure, knowing us, that there were moments that we did laugh.
We did.
I don't like remember specifically what those were, but I know that they were there
Yeah,
because I also know that that's us.
that's it.
I would say outside of those kind of first few weeks and months after she died, after I kind of got out of that just like initial state of shock,
Hmm.
I I think that humor, like, I think writing, community, and humor, like, those 3 things are the things that I feel like have gotten me through. And honestly, sometimes it's really dark humor, sometimes it's
Yeah.
really crass humor. That's okay, you know? I have had a number of friends walk through, like, other hard things, and humor is also a part of that, right? One of my best friends right now, her dad is dying from cancer. And, in this text thread that I've been on for 15 years with us and another best friend, like, we're cracking jokes. They're dark jokes. I think humor is so important, and I think sometimes there can be a sense of like guilt that comes with that.
Yeah. Or shame. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Robbie, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that I think it was evidence of how far our relationship had come. We've worked really hard at our marriage, and on many occasions, it seemed um, impossible and fruitless and like it would end. And, so much therapy, so many kind of hard times. And, I think in so many ways, one of the things that I used to always say is that what got us to, she didn't really want another kid. It was a big journey for us to even get to wanting a second kid, much less having one.
Mhm.
And I would say that the work that got us to getting Sachi is actually what got us through losing her. And the laughter, I think, is great evidence of how we, like, kind of the superpowers that we had cultivated.
Yeah.
Because if this had happened a few years sooner, I don't know that there would have been as much laughing. There would have been more tension, more fighting, more,
100%.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think when when you're making each other laugh, there's two things that it means. One, it means that you understand that laughing in the darkest, saddest times is a coping mechanism.
Mhm.
And two, you're understanding that when you're going through something bad, it's not just you, it's the people you're going through it with. And so sharing a laugh with them is a way to acknowledge, like, when we were going through what we were going through, I obviously would sit with her, I'd cry with her. We had all our sad moments. But there were also some times where, I was mostly trying to focus on her. So I would intentionally think to myself, what's a story I can share with her? What's something that will just take her brain to a new place, make her crack a smile. And when that's the goal, I might go cry by myself in the bath. And I think there's just so much, when you're making each other laugh, especially in the hard times, I think it's just a beautiful example of teamwork.
Yeah, and vulnerability,
Yeah.
right? Because you can't laugh openly or whatever with your partner if you're not safe with them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I mean, you just have the most beautiful wife in the world, so it makes a lot easier to do anything because she's just gorgeous. And truly, I would like to find somebody that looks at me the way that Ravi looks at you. So
We're gonna get to
You
work.
hear that? Do you hear that?
he really does. He loves you so much. You can
She
see
gives
it.
me such a hard time. I wish you could hear. I mean, she's fucking bananas. Listen, I have a
I
daughter,
am banana.
I have
We're
a
all
wife, I have a
bananas.
sister, I have a mom. Everyone who's listening to this podcast is female. They're all going to be triggered by what I say, but there's a reason why you can't say, look, I'll tell you this, men are barbaric, but the women in my life, there's something else going on. And
Same for you, my friend.
she just like will decide on a dime as soon as the sun goes down, which is when she becomes like this, her alter ego,
This is I turned into a werewolf.
where
This is
she
probably true.
she just like is like becomes all of a sudden like, you don't love me anymore, do you? And I'm like, what? She goes, well, you've been laying in bed there. You haven't even talked to me. I go, you're
First
on
of
your
all,
own.
He can't win.
I can see how much he loves you by the way he looks at you. Like truly, 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 truly. And
See?
I just, yeah, I can see it.
Did you
It's
see it?
I can see it.
Oh,
you can look. I will put some clips up on social media. You can go back and
thank
watch
you.
this.
Yes, do that.
Yeah.
Let's get that going.
Yes.
The gif of true love.
Exactly. And I just want to say too, like I have, FaceTimed and Zoomed with you enough over the last couple of years that I actually feel like you are alive, Mahaley, for the first time in so long. And I can see it. Like you were like dead, right? You were like a walking dead person. And, yeah. And so like to see you come back to life, from the people around you, and I'm sure everybody's been saying this to you, is so beautiful, but also so important to model for other people because losing a child is quite literally the worst thing anybody can ever think of, right? And so you have come out the other side. You have more children that, you have birthed into this world in various ways. And your story is just so important. And I'm just so grateful for both of you for, it's not easy in this day and age to be vulnerable and especially with a platform and share yourself and open yourself up when people can misconstrue your words all of the time. I know this book is going to change lives, and I'm really grateful that you guys did this. So,
Thank you.
where can people pre-order the book?
Can pre-order now wherever books are sold. And same with September 15th, which is the release date. They can buy it then. Yeah.
And there's
wherever
links.
books
I
are
think
sold.
there's links on both of our Instagrams as well.
Yep, and I'll put links in the show notes too, and we'll put a bunch of posts up about this. And I have some ideas of some other things we can do, which we'll talk about in a second. Amazing, both of you are fantastic humans, and well, thank you. And I know this is the start of much work you're going to be doing. I knew as soon as everything happened that Sachi was going to lead you to exactly where you were supposed to be in life, and I think that for both of you, there's a lot coming around this topic and helping other parents and families heal. And I'm proud of both of you. I'm proud to call you a friend. And thank you for taking time today.
Thank you, Olivia. You're the best. You're always, you have such a big heart and
Oh,
it's
thank you.
reflected in your work and
Thank you.
how industrious and entrepreneurial you are. So
Thank you. I
thank you.
appreciate it.